I'm Mike.
I'm Rebecca.
And we're just going to tell you about our spontaneous adventures being a fake taxi cab service last night. Yesterday here in Bangor was our first snowfall of the year, and we were only supposed to get 8 inches.
Yeah, we ended up getting about 12, I think.
12 inches. Our night started off with us hanging out by the fire, coming up with new video ideas, and I kept, like, all day I've been getting political phone calls asking me who I'm going to vote for and what's going on. So I decided to mess with one of them, and he asked me, he's like, what state are you from? I'm like, Maine. He's like, what county? And I'm like, Orange. Just as a joke, and I couldn't stop laughing, so I just hung up.
Yeah. So then later on, when we're by the fire talking, we get this other phone call, and Mike was like, should I answer it? And I'm like, yes, because the political calls are so funny, listening to how he messes with them. We might as well just pick it up. So he picks it up, and it's this woman on the other end, and she's like, is this my taxi? And Mike's like, yeah. And the woman's like, oh, thank goodness. I have people at the airport this is Econo Lodge. This is Beth from Econo Lodge. And I have a family at the airport that have been stranded there all day long. They need a ride to the Econo Lodge. Can you come and get them? And Mike was like, well, we're pretty busy.
That's a joke. I was just joking around.
Right.
I wasn't taking any of it seriously.
And the woman's like, I believe it. I've called every single taxi company in town, and everyone is booked, and no one's answering my calls, and the one taxi company that did answer said it was going to be like a 4-hour wait for these people. So I'm listening to this because he had it on speaker, and I was like, I whispered to him, I'm like, Mike, let's go get him. Let's go do this.
And normally, when it's a weird idea like this, I would be the one to say, let's go do it, let's go do something, like, or just this random idea, and then she would have to catch up, but she was on board way before I was. So it took me a second, and I figured out that I was like, hell yeah, let's just do it. Yeah. So
yeah, they needed us, so we went out, and it was close to where, we were, so we just decided to get into the Jeep. I had to clean the Jeep out a little bit for our company. And we told them, like, Mike and I both agreed that we needed to be completely honest with these people, let them know we're not a taxi service. We're just random strangers that got a wrong phone number, and we wanted to help. And if they're willing to get in our car, they're more than welcome.
Hey, get in our car.
And we'll take them to where they wanted to go. So we set off.
Oh, mind you, it was blizzarding outside. It wasn't actually a blizzard, but the snow was just coming down sideways, and it was so windy.
Trees were down, power lines were down.
Yep.
Part of the town was without power. I mean, it was not, it's a bad storm because the leaves are still on the trees.
And it was the first storm of the year. So a lot of new drivers, they've never driven in the snow before, so they don't know to slow down. Or they don't know that they should be cautionary to other drivers, not just themselves.
Yeah. So as we were getting ready to pick up this couple at the airport, I decided that we should make a sign so that they'll know who we are, so that they'll come to us when we're looking for them. And Mike gets another telephone call, and it's these two ladies, or it's a woman.
One lady.
One lady.
Yeah, it's the same lady.
At the Bangor Mall, and apparently Econo Lodge had given out his number, and was asking for a ride to Econo Lodge because they had been stranded at the Bangor Mall for 2.5 hours with no ride. They couldn't get any taxi to come and get them, and so we started writing down our route that we were going to do for these people that needed our help, and apparently Econo Lodge had given them his number, and so then we decided, okay, well, let's go to the airport. We'll pick up the first people at the airport. So we go to the airport, and
while we're on our way to the airport, we started following another random taxi, and they were fishtailing all over the road. We have 4-wheel in the Jeep, so I mean that's a hell of a lot more safer than your old taxi car with car problems.
Yeah.
But we finally get to the airport, and we park, and we go inside. I'm like, what do we do? Like, do we put up the sign like right now and just start looking at people? So we did. We held up a sign, and
yeah, we started walking around. Mike held the sign, and
sure enough, the guy comes over. He's like, "I'm Chris." I mean, yeah. That's me. A family of 6. So we kind of look at each other. We're like, we don't have room for this.
No.
But you know, we started explaining the story and that, you know, this wasn't an actual taxi cab, and before we could even finish what we were saying, he was already on board. He's like, come on kids, let's pile in these random people's car and let's go for a drive. And
they had another elderly couple that they wanted to have in the car first. So like they need to go first, and we said we're gonna have to do it in sections. We'll have to come and get, you know, come back from the rest of you because there's just not enough room. And so they're like, well, we really need this elderly couple to go in first. So they all came out. We put all their luggage because they were going to Disney, so they had all this luggage for the whole week.
I didn't realize that I should help them with their luggage. I was like, oh wait, we're a fake taxi. Oh yeah, I'll take your stuff. I'll shove it in the back. So we filled up. I told them that I'll sit in like the way back where there's no seats because I wanted, you know, these people to have seat belts. So I gave them my seat and I sat in the back with their luggage.
And we started heading over to the Econo Lodge, and they had been in the airport since 9 in the morning waiting to hear for their flight. No food. They had very little food at the airport left because there's a bunch of people waiting for flights. And they were just so, at the point where they were so desperate, they didn't care who we were as long as we were going to help them get to the hotel.
They ordered pizza, and I guess pizza from Papa John's got lost like hours before. So
yeah, so we get everyone in, elderly couple get in, and we head over to the Econo Lodge, and we were talking back and forth with them, and you know, they're going to Disney World, they had been delayed and stuff, they're going to give the kids some sugar. And but one of the things that they had said to us was, so you work for Econo Lodge? And we're like, no, we don't work for Econo Lodge. We have no relation to any of this. And they're like, what? No, it's just a completely random call that he got on his phone, and we're responding to it. And they were just like, they were floored. They're like, what? You don't even need to be out here right now. So we dropped them off, and then we went over to the airport to pick up the rest of their party. And put everyone in the car, and they were also very gracious, and we dropped...
At that point there was only 3. There was 8 total.
Yeah, there were 8 total.
So we went and picked up the last 3, and I sat in the front.
Yeah, and the old man who had delivered first, he just, to me, I don't know, he seemed very like diabetic or something, because his face was a different color and his eyes had a certain look that my mom's get, and she's diabetic too. So I knew, I had said to Mike when we were alone in the car.
I thought he was panicking. I thought he was panicking for a few minutes because the breathing was so different. I didn't know if he was worried that we weren't real people, like a real taxi service, or of course a real people. I mean, she's real. But I was concerned because his breathing wasn't regular.
Right.
So at that point I was like kind of on my toes a little bit.
I know, we didn't need him to get sick in our car. But yeah, he just seemed a little like he was not well. And he was very gracious when we let him off too. He was like, you know, you're just good, such good people, good drivers, thank you so much. And so they all went in and we had them situated, and then we had to go and attack
Macy's,
the mall area, which we were trying really hard to avoid any hills, because earlier in the day Mike and I were driving around and a lot of the hills in Bangor were covered with cars that were piling up because they couldn't get up the hills. So Mike was trying to figure out a route that we could do so that we could avoid any hills.
In my mind. My mind map.
And he came up with a really good one so we could avoid all the major hills and the interstate, because I didn't want to get on the interstate either. So I wanted to go about 20 just to get over there safely.
So we're on our way, and we're going through sections of roads where the power is just black. Like everything, the only thing you can see is our headlights.
Oh, and
or other people's, and people are still going off the road, and it's like we want to stop and help, but we have to go get these people, because we called these women a few times to let them know that we're still on our way because it took so long for us to get there.
Yeah, it probably took us about 45 minutes to get over there.
So we eventually got there, and we went to you go.
So we get there and we pull into Macy's where they said that they were, and we went around the whole length of Macy's and there was no one in there by the doors or anything. So Mike and I are like, let's just jump out of the car and go inside and start saying their last name that they gave us in hope that we'll find them. So we walk in the front door and we get greeted by like 3 Macy's employees that are coming out, and they're like,
we're closed.
Yeah.
Like, we're picking up people here.
Yeah. And he's like, there's no one else in the store. There's no one in here. The mall closed a couple hours ago. And we were like, what? These people are supposed to be waiting for us. So we figured they must be at the other entrance on the other side. And we looped around, and the women were actually getting escorted outside by one of the mall cops because apparently he had had enough. He was just like, okay, you guys have got to get out. We need to close the store. And while they were waiting for us to show up.
We eventually got around to the right entrance. They were coming out the mall entrance, and the security officer was basically pushing them out because they were locking up the whole building, and you know, it's still snowing like crazy, you know, even an hour and a half later. You know, however long we were with the first family.
We approached them the same way that we did the other people, and we're like, okay, just so you know, we're not a real taxi service. Wrong number. If you're willing to take a risk and get in our car, we'll take you to where you want to go. And one of the ladies is like, as long as you are who you say you are, I don't care. We're going. So they had all these bags because they're Canadian shoppers. So they had all these purchases from the day that they had bought. So we put those all in the trunk, and then Mike got in the trunk again.
But there's 4 of them, 4 of these ladies, and so I ended up getting back in the trunk, you know, with all their stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, I hope they don't think I'm gonna go through their stuff and like steal it, because I'm not. I'm honestly not. I just want them to be able to have seats.
So we started talking to them on the way over and telling them all the different stories about what had happened, and they were telling us their stories about apparently the Bangor Mall had a fire.
Oh, Bath and Body Works.
Yeah.
Electrical fire.
That's why the mall had closed when it did. It wasn't the weather, it was because of an electrical fire. So they had to evacuate the mall early for the electrical fire, and then they were let back in until it actually closed to wait inside for us. But they had called everyone, and no one would come and pick them up. Even the taxi driver that dropped them off, they couldn't get a hold of because he was too busy with other rides. So they were over there stranded, and then we ended up coming in. And as we were talking in the car with them also, they're like, you don't have any relation to Econo Lodge? And we're like, no. It's just totally random number.
You just called my phone.
Yep, and you're not a taxi service? No, we're not. And of course they all started like busting out laughing, and one of them's like, I'm so glad I didn't tell my husband I was going out today. So yeah, they were really fun. They're from Halifax, and
they were fun.
Yep. And they were having a good time with us. And as we were getting close to Union Street, I hear Mike in the back seat, and he goes, oh, Rebecca, I got another call.
Oh, yeah.
Should I answer it? I'm like, yeah, go ahead. And the girls all started laughing because they knew they knew the whole story about how we're like this taxi service.
I was like, I didn't know what to do. So I answered it thinking it was going to be a political call or another taxi or someone from Econo Lodge, but I answered it, and it was a lady from Econo Lodge. She's like, hi, one of the older gentlemen,
As we're driving along, I was talking to the girls about different things and just the irony and the weather and everything. And then I hear Mike in the very back go, hey Rebecca, I got another phone call. Should I answer it? And I'm like, yeah. And of course, all the girls start busting out laughing because they know now the whole story about our taxi service. So they know that it's probably another call for someone to come and needing a ride. So then Mike gets the phone call.
I answered the phone, and it was the lady from Econo Lodge saying the older gentleman that had gotten a ride from me previous had left all of his medications in the car.
Right.
And at that point, I'm thinking, oh shit. And the lady that was sitting, you know, where the man was sitting, she's like, oh, I didn't see anything in here when I sat down. I'm thinking...
All of them were really adamant. They're like, we'll look right now. Like, everybody in the car started trying to find his medicine.
And I'm thinking, oh, shit, we're gonna get sued so hard if we can't find the medication and they think that we stole it.
Right. So, yeah, so we ended up, like, the women were really adamant about wanting to search, and they were feeling around, and they were like, I don't find anything. I can't see anything. And so we...
The rest of the ride there, I'm just thinking, you know, crap.
Yeah, and we were trying to think, well, maybe he left it at the airport. We could stop at the airport, but we'll go drop the women off first. And the women were like, you know, once we get to the hotel, we'll all get out and we'll all search your car. And so we're like, okay, cool. So we ended up going down Auckland Road, and then of course they're Canadians, so they're like, oh, ha ha ha, the only thing open is Tim Hortons. I guess we'll eat there. And so I was like, do you want me to pull in and get you guys something to eat so you don't have to walk? And I was like, no, you've already done enough. So we got to Econo Lodge, and one of the guys that was in no relation to these older elderly people, he's waiting down in the lobby for us to find that bag of medicine for that man. So luckily, I like opened up the trunk so they could get their packages out.
And I could get out.
Yes.
They were stuffed in there with all their stuff.
Right, and the older woman had already checked the back seat and they wasn't there. So then
I start passing out their bags of their groceries from the mall, or their stuff, and I see a red bag sitting there. I'm like, perfect.
Yeah.
That's the bag.
Yeah.
Like, that's not ours. Like, that must be it. So we passed it to this man, and
he's like, yes,
sure
that's
enough.
it. That's the bag that we need. So he like brought it up to the elderly gentleman, and the women were just like, they were loving every single minute of this whole situation. And as they were getting out, we had a good connection with those guys, and we were like, I feel like we should hug you. So we ended up hugging everyone goodbye. And
they were so sweet.
They were so sweet. They gave us really tight, awesome hugs.
They were real hugs. They weren't that half-assed shit.
No, actually, a couple of them I went to pull away and they wouldn't let me go.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cute.
Yeah. So, and then of course one lady's like, you guys have little halos on your heads for your actions. So, and they did a nice, they gave us something really sweet to kind of help and for our time and effort, but we weren't expecting that at all. And so as we were leaving, we figured we're gonna get calls all night long if we don't go tell Econo Lodge that we're not an actual taxi service.
We waited a few minutes and we went back inside to let the Econo Lodge know that they were giving out my phone number and I wasn't a real taxi service.
Yeah, we didn't want to be called all night long with different routes. I mean,
we would have gone. We would have gone.
We would have totally gone. But actually, and one of the, I don't know if I had said this or not, but one of the first gentlemen who were going to Disney, he was like, so, what are you guys doing at 9 tomorrow morning? Yeah, so anyway, so we went in and we talked to the lady at the desk, and she was like staring at us pretty intently, and then she slams down a business card on the table, and Mike looks at it and he's like, that's my number! And it had some random guy's name on it, and now taxi with Mike's number.
It was an old business card.
Yeah. She
was desperate, so she ended up digging through like the bottom of a drawer and finding these
cards that she never used before.
It makes sense. My phone number's new, so it makes sense.
Yeah, so she ended up feeling like really bad that she did this, and she's like, I want to make sure to give you something for your time. So she gave us $20 for helping her out, and we're like, no, we don't want that. We were just doing it to help these people, and nobody else was going to come and get them, obviously. And she's like, that's the least I can do for you. So she gave us $20. So that was fun. So we got some pizza and a movie.
We ended up buying pizza for the night and, you know, some drinks and... No, that sounds like alcohol.
We ended up... We want to say spoiling that?
Let's get that makeout scene. 3, 2, 1. Next.
At least you went the other way that time.
Alright, let's get this shit ended.
Okay. Where are we?
Fuck. Oh, yeah, shoot. What part are we at? The end. The card. No, we already did the card.
did the card. Oh, she gave us $20.
Yeah. The pizza. Start with the pizza.
Oh. So, I mean, we had, you know, $20. We figured we didn't have that in our pockets before. Let's splurge and go get a pizza and a movie and call it a night. So we ended up getting a pizza and a movie. Oh, actually, well, they don't need to know that.
We're not telling them about the car accident.
Nope.
With the money that we got from Econo Lodge, we just bought some pizza and a couple movies and just, you know, hang up our towel for the night. Even though we would have kept going.
Oh, absolutely.
If we would have kept getting phone calls, we would have kept going all night until we had no gas.
Yeah, and it's nice to know that people were safe and where they needed to be, and that
they were appreciative.
Yeah, like it's nice to know that we could actually help people to get to where they needed to go.
And they trusted us enough to know, you know, that we're not a taxi service.
Right.
And just...
They were willing to accept help from a stranger, and it's kind of rare now to do that.
Yeah.
But it's important, especially in times when And I think that's typical of this area too in Bangor. We want to help each other out because it's a smaller community.
But it's a great community.
It's a great
community. It really is. A lot of people, you know, they all know each other, and you know, even the new people or you know, people traveling in from other areas. Like, we're just it's very tight knit and it's very family here.
I think the people that we helped definitely felt that too. So it was good.
So if you come to Bangor, don't give me a call, but if you do, I'll give you a ride somewhere. Alright, thanks for watching the video, and have a happy holiday, guys.